if I can still adjust this. Yeah, this week I had some unforeseen circumstances, if you will, and I wasn't able to finish my upcoming edited video, The Decline. But rest assured, the script is, for the most part, done, and I think I can finish it probably by the I'd say midpoint of this week, maybe before next Friday. I just want to make sure I have everything addressed and gone over in order. But I have a thesis statement, and from there, I talk about all the different things I think are screwed up, and just the moral decline of people in general. Like I think the internet has played a very big role in that. I think there's a lot of inconsistency in both in terms of the argumentation that people will present to you when they don't agree, um, and also in what types of things they will be upset over and will not, which is why we call it selective outrage. So there's um there's going to be a lot to go over there. One of the things I mentioned in the video is the woman who, and I've mentioned her a few times over the last month or so. Uh, I spoke to her for probably like 3, 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it was nice. And then all of a sudden, after we have these multiple very long calls, she all of a sudden starts ignoring me. And I'm like, this is really weird because I start thinking, and I established this very early in the video. I say, because of the way the internet is with men, they're supposed to believe they've done something wrong. Um, like you're supposed to just instinctively think that when things don't go your way, you must have messed up in some like fatal flaw esque area that has just destroyed your chances of happiness or of getting the result you desire. So I said, like, I was thinking maybe I did something wrong. What happened? Because it just didn't make any sense to me for her to, react this way. And, after she explained her rationale, which was that she was being harassed by her ex, it made even less sense. But she said we would speak again and she wasn't going to do this anymore. And now she's back doing the exact same thing and has been doing the exact same thing literally since right after that call finished. So she was just lying. Um, but, I saw her, was it yesterday, day before yesterday? She posted something talking about she's feeling better. And I'm like, it sure would be nice if you could speak to one of the people that you weren't treating that great when you were not feeling good. That would be the cherry on top. But yeah, she gets mentioned, and I just basically talk about how insane it is that I really used to think that if you just got rid of the romance element with women, like if you just didn't have any of that, oh, I want to be with you thing going on, I thought maybe um you wouldn't see this issue still going on, but no, it persists, still happening. They are just as bad with their platonic relationships as they are with their romantic ones, and I'm not even surprised really because I mean I told you before, you can go on any website, like it's mostly Twitter, but you can go on any website and you can find women talking trash about not even just men, but like other women. Like I was so close. I didn't do it because I didn't think it was worth it, but I was so close to making a video about what's that lady's name? Uh, I think Kylie. Anyway, some like influencer lady. She was dating some rapper, and there was a picture of her that was just like on Twitter. I guess paparazzi followed and took a photo, whatever, full body image of both of them. And I'll never forget, I was scrolling through the replies and I see all of these different chicks talking trash about her outfit and what they called granny shoes, and I was like, God, man, I saw that picture, didn't even think twice about it. As far as I'm not some fashion critic, so it doesn't. Whatever she chooses to wear is not something I'm really concerned about. But it was just crazy that they were being so aggressively antagonistic to this lady they've never even met because they're seemingly jealous of her dating some man that they want to be with. But it's just that's an example I'm talking about. I said people online always talk about how toxic and evil internet men are, but no one ever goes into the really disgusting behavior of women online. Like if they're not wasting men's time with these never-ending, back and forths that go nowhere and that they know are going nowhere. They're treating other women like trash by talking about the way they look or some other physical, just usually some physical characteristic that they blow up to extreme proportions of importance. Really, they're the only reason they don't get in as much of a what's a good way of putting it, as much attention is because people have effectively in what's the term for it, infantilized women, where they basically treat them like they're little kids. Like you have to hold their hand. Oh, the scary online men are talking about how frustrated and tired they are of not being able to get with one of them. A lot of people don't really believe anything once you probe their nonsense views. Yeah, I never really see dudes doing this to other men unless it's about romance. I'm telling you, I went through the replies of that tweet because remember, it's a woman and a man, so they can talk about the way the man looks too. Not that would be something I agree with, but at least then it's like they're just being nasty altogether. Like you couldn't really say it's just a jealousy thing with that one lady, but they were really sitting there and talking about how unattractive what the woman was wearing, and it wasn't even just like one lady who did this, two, three. It went on and on and on, and like I was shocked because I really didn't. I swear to you, man. I looked at her outfit and then I unlooked at it. Like it didn't even cross my mind that this was something that would offend so many of these weird chicks on that site. It was crazy. So yeah, I came really close to making a video about that. I came very close. I had a script I was starting and everything, but I just at the last minute I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do this. They're not really that great of a group of people. The reason that they even are allowed to talk on sites like this is because they have nowhere in real life to express these disgusting views, right? So I'm not even, and now it is raining, right? There's like a little bit of drizzle outside. But even with a little bit of drizzle, there's still loads and loads of cars coming up here to get this overpriced coffee. So I guess the rain isn't too effective. A lot of people reveal how nasty and mean they are when they're behind a screen. Well, that's something else I get into in the video. But Akatsuki merchant, I hope you realize that you kind of stepped on your own foot here because you say a lot of people don't really believe anything once you probe their nonsense views. Well, I mean, I thought you liked my channel, but then you won't even click the like button. So we could say that you don't really like it, or that you only kind of halfway like it, part time like it. So you've been exposed on that front. But then also, I thought you were one of those left leaning people that wanted to, I guess, see some more prosperous futures for the Democrats. But then, I looked online and I saw that you were part of the internet coordination team for the Mike Pence campaign. So we don't know what you believe, dude. I got this on I think it was eBay for like $5. It was just funny. Like because I don't know. When I read the first, I think it was 4 or 5 chapters. I was surprised by how he goes. Like it's almost like a full speed ahead. And somebody told me that when you get to be like 50, 60, 70, a lot of the events that happened when you were younger don't mean as much to you as they would have, you know, back then or whatever. But damn, he breezes through his family and like his childhood, and I think less than 30 pages. Like it all goes by so quick. And I kind of was irritated by that because um like for example, if I wrote, let's say I'm I don't know, 40 or 45, and I write a memoir. I couldn't imagine describing everything that happened between when I was a little kid all the way up until like 12 or 12th grade or the couple of years of college I was in. I couldn't imagine describing all of that in like 30 or 40 pages. Like that'd have to be at a minimum like 200 or 300, because it just so much of it is still very vivid in my mind, and there's a lot of stuff that happened back then that is still influential to what's occurring today. Like I can draw direct parallels between. Yeah, you've been exposed. Yeah, he's not doing too well in the polls, so you need to up your game. You need to go out and improve your efforts on his behalf. I forgot to put a bookmark in here. I don't even remember what page I was on. Yeah, I'll mess with this after I finish streaming. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you and then you unsubscribe and go on and put me on your enemies list. Oh, he ignored me when I came to his stream. He didn't say anything. Oh God, I can already hear it. I tell you, on YouTube, people are the biggest, like on the internet, really in general, people are some of the biggest snakes you'll ever run across. Like, I'm telling you, I will never forget that Joe Manchin quote for as long as I live. Not even because I like that guy, because it's just so accurate. You can be a hero one day and a villain the next. You can have someone that just talks about how great speaking to you is, and within 24 hours, they can just completely turn on you, ignore you, start treating you like crap, etc. Which is what that broad did. Um, I mean, it's amazing to me how fast someone can completely reverse on you. It's nuts. Like I'm not even trying to be funny. That stuff goes back to why I said I really don't even attempt normally to even have any kind of exchanges on here. Too much betrayals. Like I said, there's where are the payoffs? They're nowhere to be seen. You're supposed to just sit here and talk to people over and over again, and then when they eventually stop responding because they can't log in their own damn account, or they are bored with you or whatever, then you gotta start all over again and hope it goes better. And remember, no matter what the actual reasons were for it ending, you're gonna be blamed anyway, because that's what we do with men. No, it's just really sad. But like I said, people don't care. They always want to find some kind of person they can make the scapegoat in their little saga. You did this. By the way, I'm gonna mention this 'cause I thought it was funny. So I did a video on what's her name, the South Dakota governor, Noam, and her whole thing is she's important because she might end up being Trump's running mate. Man, let me tell you something. That comment section was so goofy because it's like I guess I'll put it this way: when I've done a video about somebody, some like politician, right, and no one said anything, no one left any comments, nobody tried to argue whatever before, because I've done I think 2-3 videos about her before, right? And none of her little supporters came on there to try and defend her honor or whatever. And all of a sudden on this video, I see like 4, 5, 6 of them just popping up out of the blue. And one of them says that you couldn't be more wrong about her. And what's funny is that in their defense of her, they misspell her name like 2 different ways. And it's like it's extremely stupid because in my video's title, I have her name spelled correctly. So she loves this lady so much that she can't remember how to spell her damn name. even when it's right in front of her on the video that she's leaving this comment on, or this big defense or whatever. Dude, my favorite comment was the one guy who said, I've never seen you before, and I don't plan on seeing you again. It's like, dude, I don't care. Like here's the reality about YouTube. You can make content that is geared towards a specific viewpoint, and somebody might come to a video that is like that. Maybe they agree with it, maybe they don't agree with most of it, whatever, and they still very likely will never watch you again. Um, this was exemplified by the stream I did. I'll never forget. I had over 100 people watching me. And from that stream, I got about 100 new subscribers. It must have been 3 or 4 people that I saw after that actually commented on a couple of my things before they inevitably vanished. Uh, so what I'm getting at is, even if I had, let's say, made a video, I don't know, worshiping her or whatever, those same people, even if they came across it and, like, let's say in this instance, left nice comments, pretty much all of them would have just vanished after that video. Because that's what they do. They look for videos with the names of some person they like, politician they like in the title, and then they swarm the video to try and, like, I guess, express their outrage that somebody, disagrees with them. Then after they get through, giving themselves a pound on the back, they vanish. And it would be the exact same thing if I had made a video that was complimentary or praising of her. Not only would they have probably left less comments, because people don't comment as often on stuff that they agree with for some reason. I don't know why. They also probably would have subscribed and then not watched, or just watched it and just kept it moving, pretty much. So basically what I'm getting at is, it doesn't, like, whether you make a video that is something they agree with or like, or more often than not, they will just ignore you after that video comes out. They will just pretend you don't even exist. They do this with plenty of other larger people on this site. That's why you have channels with 100,000 subs. They get like 1,000 or 2 or 3,000 views a video. Like, it's really awful, because it's just overinflated numbers. But like I said, thanks for the views. I've explained this time and time again. I really couldn't care less about subscribers, because I know most of these people don't watch. The most significant thing is views. That's the only thing that matters. That is interesting, though, that you can make a video someone likes, and they still probably will not, like, if they subscribe, they're gonna be subbed, and just like a dead sub. They're gonna just watch that one video, right? Give it a view, click the sub button, and then just disappear. And we've seen this happen time and time again. It's not even funny. I actually can't remember the last time I subbed to somebody. Like, I'm not even joking. It might be an actual, like, 2 or 3 years since I subscribed to a new person. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm really thinking about it. It may have it, like, you'll be very shocked by how little people I watch on this site, but it might have been, at this point, 2 or 3 years since I found a new channel. I was like, man, I'm gonna subscribe to them and see how they're, what they do. I just feel so bad for ever trusting a Kotsky merchant. he was what they call the wolf in sheep's clothing. So much backstabbing going on. Let me see what that thing is. But yeah, Pence was a guy that when he was picked, I thought he was whatever, right? He was there to satisfy the evangelical voters, but I gotta say, after the last 3 years, he's been getting more and more interesting to me. Just the idea of this guy who was completely loyal to somebody else, not wanting to destroy the democracy of the election, right? By doing something illegal for his boss. So then he becomes persona non grata to the exact same man that sang him praises for years. Uh, and like ends up running against him in a primary where he's getting 4, 5, 6% of the vote. It's interesting. Oh man, this why did it have to rain? Thank God I didn't start my window down, otherwise we'd have some wet papers in here. See, this is one day where I really wish that whole thing of like, because I explained before, the reason I start coming up here is because there's always people like sleeping, or I don't like have a room where I can just do the stuff from, um, like at the place. But this is one day where that's the worst out of any of it, because it's like, assuming it continues to rain for the next 2 hours, I'll have to go back and like jump in there or whatever. You know what I mean? Just like just the whole act of having to physically go out in the rain after finishing streaming, or even maybe if I decide to go somewhere else, that's what's like most annoying to me. Like, oh great, time to get wet up, yay! They have this one game that YouTube keeps playing ads for, and I remember when I saw it, they because in the trailers, not trailers, in the little videos of it that they post on here, they always make it sound as if, oh, it's so cool, right? This game, you can, and they show where the person or people playing it in these examples end up losing, and I'm like, I think I could beat this, or play this. And every time they show the game, they show the same part of the players all blasting away at the different enemies incoming, and I download the game, I start playing it, and it's like some weird thing where you have to like jump over it. It was nuts. I played that for maybe like 5 minutes, and I said, "This is stupid." So I feel like they gave me some misinformation. They told me a lie. There's always so many hoaxes. Oh, I thought Kotsky Merchant wrote something else. I guess I was mistaken. Wouldn't be the first time he deceived me. He's always been known to be a fibber. He says one thing and does the other. That seems to be like a hallmark of modern people, where they just with the inconsistency, because that's something else I go over. That stuff drives me insane. Like, People will tell you that they love you, but they can never call you. They can never ask you how you're doing. Pretty much the extent of their love is running their mouths. Like I used to have this one line about how um my relationship with a lot of these different relatives was so hollow that all I had to do was simply move or live somewhere else, and I would never see or interact with a bunch of them ever again. And trust me, after the period of the last 9 months, that has been exactly what has happened. None of them call. One of them was like, "Oh, you have my number blocked," because I don't care about that one calling me. I was glad to get away from her. But I said very, in like plain terms, you have a significant other who is not blocked, who you could use the phone of to call. I didn't say this to them, but that's like it's, basically if they really wanted to, they'd be able to override it. It's not that hard. Imagine blocking somebody and then it takes them. They come to your place. They don't say anything about it. Whatever. It takes them like 4 or 5 years to complain about being blocked. Like this thing that was done years ago, they didn't even seem to care, right? Now suddenly it's this. Can you unblock me? Yeah, I don't think so. Mm. I already know the reason Jem won't show up. He's mad we didn't get part three this week. Like I said, I just wanted to take a little break. I was, especially since part three, depending on if I use both books. Oh wow, speak of the devil. Now, Jem, listen. I just want to thank you for the donation. I think it was last week when I put out part two. Part three is something I am working on. I'm not that far into it, but I've got about 4 or 5 pages of a script right now. Um, Also, I was going to say thanks for hooking me up with a underpriced copy of the memoir of your hero, former Vice President Pence. And I really appreciate you, twisting fingers so I can get a discounted price because it sounds like hotcakes. And I know you've been working really hard for VP Pence. You're one of his most prolific donators, dude. I'm not even kidding. When I thought nothing of him until like 2 years ago, and he just retroactively becomes so much more interesting just from the standpoint of this guy that was supposed to be like this big sycophant for Trump, like just be his number two, right? Being like, no, I'm not going to overturn the election results so you can have a 1% higher chance of winning it. Forget that. And then being completely betrayed by Trump and all the little, Republican voter base. Oh, but he's a traitor. He's a traitor, even though he agrees with us and everything. He's a traitor. And then running for president against his own, like, we were talking about a few weeks ago. You probably don't remember, Jim, but we were discussing the idea of me doing an FDR documentary. Trump and Pence are the first president and vice president to run against each other since FDR and his first vice president, John Nance Gardner, or Garner rather, excuse me, in 1940. And it's interesting how these things parallel each other because it's like you have this VP that was like mostly loyal, um, and towards the end there's like this bitter hatred that develops between the president and the vice president, and it's interesting to me how like there's these parallels to things that have not happened in 80 years, like Trump running for a non-consecutive second term, which hasn't been accomplished in over 100 years with Grover Cleveland. The last time a president tried to do that was Herbert Hoover. No, it's Gardner. No D. I was thinking of Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern from DC. It's Gardner. Like he failed to garner attention for something, that type of way. Well, yeah, but if he's such a nobody, why'd you pick him for your VP? So that's where it doesn't make any sense. Remember, in 2016, Trump could have picked anybody. He could have picked Cruz. He could have picked Rubio. I told you that at one point he was thinking of picking Christie. So why did he pick him? Right, but well, I mean, couldn't you say that the Christian base could have also been secured with Cruz? Remember, Cruz won Iowa, and at a time was actually leading before New Hampshire, excuse me, in delegates. I'm just saying, I think it would have made a lot of sense if Pence was so bad and he's no whatever, to go just pick somebody else, but he didn't. My favorite potential pick for him was Gingrich. Like that would have been weird. Cruz is the greatest senator from Texas, and he will be winning re-election next year. Dude, his career has been a real interesting one. Like you spend 3 years trashing Obama left and right because you think you're going to be the next president, right? You're going to be this young firebrand guy from the South that just completely sweeps all the different states, and then this billionaire who really hasn't even been paying much attention to politics himself, uh, basically comes out of nowhere and completely sideswipes you, talks trash about your wife, your dad, and then you spend the next 3, 4. You initially don't endorse him, but then you change your mind after the donors slam the door in your face. Then you spend the next 3, 4 years peddling all of the nonsense he's doing, becoming his complete lapdog. Then after he gets walloped in his reelection bid, you continue to put up with this charade of him having lost the election, of him having had the election stolen from, excuse me, that the big lie as they call it. Then when you're in, dude, it's like my favorite thing about Cruz is the whole when he made the joke about Biden right after Bo died. Like he was like, all you have to do if you want to tell a joke is just say Joe Biden, and now Biden is the president and he isn't. So he got the top job that Cruz had been angling for years. Dude, when it's so funny, like listen, I don't even normally talk about the way people look on here, but I don't find Cruz's wife unattractive at all. Like, of course, she's not going to look like a literal supermodel, right? So, but because like if you compare her to Trump's wife, I mean, it's really unfair because she's not. She's a regular, you know, as far as I can tell, person that hasn't had any surgeries or any other stuff. So it was just a really nasty, thing on Trump's part. But that's why I said Cruz has no backbone because dude, Trump did not. You can go and look at all the other candidates. Trump didn't attack anyone else's spouse and dad except for Cruz. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't even. All I'm getting at is he made this lady sound very hideous. She's not, uh, at all. But then on top of that, she was the only like spouse of one of his rivals that he really like went in the paint on. And that's why Cruz is so pathetic because he still ended up endorsing him, still ended up backing him on every. It's sad, man. Like, see if Cruz was brave, yeah, she was a nasty person. But if Cruz was brave, he would say, "Hey, you know what? I may agree with Trump on some of these like policy ideas, but you don't talk trash about my wife and my dad and expect me to come and endorse you and campaign for you. To hell with that." If he did that, I think he would have gotten more respect from just people from both parties. And even if he voted for like his stuff while that went through the Congress or whatever, he could say, "Hey, look, I don't like Trump as a person. He insulted my family, but I agree with this, so I'll vote for it." Like I said, and then if he ran against him this time, right? Because that's something that Haley is doing, for example, and she's got nowhere near the name recognition that Cruz had. He could say, I don't think we should have somebody that has 91 criminal charges as our nominee. Why risk alienating regular voters? Oh yeah, but he pushed like, listen, what he did to Cruz, like the level of just, what's a good way of putting it, of vitriol is something that still is almost unparalleled. Like he went after him in ways that I have not seen other candidates gone after, at least in the primary. I'll never forget when he gave out Graham's number at that rally. I thought it was over for him. I was like, how do you run for office and give out somebody's like a rival's personal phone number? And then Graham put up the video of him destroying his phone. There's nothing magnificent about that. It was all hogwash. I'm not even joking. I really think it would be funny if Trump picked Marjorie Taylor Greene for VP, and the Democrats just like for their attack ads on Green, they just played ads of her talking, and they're like, "That's what you want for your for second in command to the presidency." Like they don't even have to like say anything; they just play ads of her speaking, and but no, the only times me and Jem disagreed were on some Republican candidates. Like, I know you really love Pence, and I do thank you for hooking me up with a discounted copy of his book, but I'm no fan. I do feel genuinely bad for him because I think if Trump had actually got a second term in 2020, it would be Pence's time to shine. Like him and DeSantis would be like the top two guys or whatever. But because Trump's in the race, he just absorbs everything. And like I said, I know you're a really big fan of Haley as well. One of your favorite neocons, and you've been loving Tulsi ever since she started going on Fox and talking trash about comparing Biden to dictators, even though she's the same exact person that endorsed him 3 years ago. Dude, Tulsi's fall is like the stuff of legend, man. She like I'll never not be interested in stuff that relates to her because it's like she's two different people. Like the one that was running in that primary, and then the one that's come out of it who just does nothing but whack off Republican talking points. Like just blow it up, you know. Nah, Nikki took the kick me signs off our backs at the UN. She's an accountant. And listen, I'd expect you to say something like that about her because after all, you want to let Putin have Ukraine. You want to let China eat Taiwan. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows. Well, Jem, you understand where like after Sanders didn't make it in 2020, a lot of people thought that in the event that Trump was able to win against Biden, that she would be like the heir to his because like what Warren pissed a lot of people off when she tried to say that Sanders told her in private that a woman couldn't win the election. So what I'm getting at is uh Gabbert's really disappointing from the perspective of this is the person that people thought they were all gonna like pour their admiration for Bernie into. Like she'd be the next one to like prop up and try to, get to take on whatever establishment person they had running. I tell you, every time I think of that line, you want to let China, he wants to let China eat Taiwan. I I just keep imagining China as a person and Taiwan as burger. It's just such a like weird way to describe a country like invading another one or taking it over. Well, yeah, Jim, but it's like, remember, nobody knew who the hell she was before that primary. Like I did, right? Because I remembered when she endorsed Bernie in 2016, Tulsi. But a lot of people liked her debate performances. A lot of people felt like she, as a veteran, when she talked about these endless wars, it stuck. It resonated with people because it's a veteran telling you that this is ridiculous. Like she was over there and she saw firsthand how bad it was. I just think her whole turn has been nothing but short of tragic. Like between Sanders losing that primary, Nina Turner getting smushed in Ohio, um, Abrams losing in Georgia twice, and Gabbard doing her little conversion thing, and AOC and the rest of the squad barely even registering at this point. It's just a sad day to like actually want some progressives. You know what I mean? USA agreed to one China policy. Those are practice talking points. I don't know why they can't just leave like that stuff alone. Like, why do we care if China is messing with Taiwan? Like, that's why I said Pelosi's little stupid trip over there was really dumb. Because it's like, why are you even going there in the first place? This guy's on the phone right next to the car. Even with the windows rolled up, I can hear him really well. That's always a good example of how loud people are when even like with windows up, you can still hear them just just talking. Not even the language I understand, but he's just talking. Let's see here. I'm tired of you and your talking points. It's not my fault you want to let China eat Taiwan. So yeah, part three is I'm not gonna promise it's coming out this week because I don't have that much of it done. And I don't like rushing these things. I think it'll be done before the end of the month. I truly believe that. And I'm probably going to end up splitting the Senate years in half again, so I don't have as much of a workload. And then after we're done with the Senate years, then we just have the 1960 election, which I might either attach that at the end of part four or put that and the vice presidency together in one video for part five. Or I'm just explaining the composition of this because I don't want you to think, oh, he's trying to not do that the whole. No, I got the script and on my Google Drive or Google Docs or whatever you call it. We're almost 40 pages into that thing, dude. I was thinking if I did one on Nixon, it would actually be kind of. I'm not gonna say poetic, but you know, because the library is like in driving distance of me, I could actually go up there and like stand in front of the steps and talk about him, and it would just, you know what I mean, like just with the library as the backdrop, it would be kind of cool. There's like two or three books, three or four actually, that have come out on Humphrey in the last like 5 years. I want to get some of those because I do contend that Humphrey is a very forgotten but very important figure in certainly 20th century politics. I mean, he was one of the like really prominent civil rights backers in like the 40s and 50s, like when a lot of those Southerners, like even including Johnson, were kind of reluctant to really be outgoing with it. He was full throttle. So he's someone I definitely want to do something that commemorates the memory and legacy of. And he is really tragic because he wanted to be president, but the timing was always off. Like he runs in 1960 against the Senate Majority Leader of his own party, and Kennedy, who's got like this big, beautiful family and is just so much more charismatic in the television era. Then when he finally gets the nomination, it's during a year where one of the candidates was killed. They've had this awful convention that was had fire trucks and hoses oh man. And even though he loses in the landslide in the electoral college, he still ends up just only slightly getting less votes than Nixon. Then he tries to run again in 72, doesn't do anywhere near as well, doesn't make out the primary. And then he considers it again at a later point, but at that point, he's already got cancer and knows he won't make it through a term. So it's really tragic. No, I can already picture Jim just shaking his head. He's like, where's part three? We try to make this a weekly series. Where's part three? It's on its way. I just have to finish reading the stuff. And I already tell you, I'm trying to implement that other book in there, and I got to start on that one. I haven't read any of it yet. But no, I'm definitely getting through this. Like I'm not even the earliest I would consider making anything about anyone else is after part five. So I'm definitely serious on this one. No, you didn't wait no 2 years because I didn't even say I was making that until probably like July, or it was like midway through this year. So like, you're spreading misinformation. The one stupid guy was talking about, is part two going to come out in 20 years? I was like, damn, you put a video. I usually don't get that offended by like the dumb stuff people say online, but that really pissed me off because it's like you just got part one not even 3 days ago. I despise people on the internet. They think you can just snap your fingers and here comes this video. That's one of their biggest character flaws. There was no 2 years. You're spreading misinformation. That still wouldn't be 2 years. That would be a year, like 14 months, a little bit over a year. So that's like I said, you're just spreading. Listen, I didn't want to mention this, but I know that you're trying to start the Gem 422 What You Gonna Do network, where you're gonna have all your favorite commentators like Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and Eric Bowling, all the rest of them just on there talking about the need to reelect the president, the former president in 2024. So I didn't want to mention this, but I know that your network is gearing up. Dude, TYT did a video about O'Reilly, and that's the first time I've actually seen O'Reilly just speak or whatever in like the last 3 years. And he was coughing and hacking because I remember him very vividly from when he was on Fox. God, he really got railroaded out of there. And every book is the same thing: killing Reagan, killing Kennedy, killing Jesus. Like, okay, I get it. All right. I remember he got into some conflict with, I don't know if you remember George Will. That's like another right leaning commentator about killing Reagan because he was like, I don't believe that Reagan had any type of brain injuries were stemming from his shooting. He was like, well, I quoted this person who said this. Did you actually read the book? Did you actually read the book? It was, dude, that was at the start of all that Me Too stuff. I still don't know if I fully believe any of the, because like I try to not be partisan, or excuse me, yeah, with that type of stuff. So if you don't have any proof, I'm not gonna just sit here and start believing that nonsense. Gotta show at least a little bit of evidence. They tried to do the same thing to Hannity, but the lady was too stupid. First, she said that they met at a bar, then it was a hotel room. I think she said it was like in the morning, and then at one point it was at night. She was all over the place, so her thing didn't work at all. No, I'm saying that apparently in the book Killing Reagan, Hannity, excuse me, O'Reilly forwards the idea that the impact of the shooting may have done something neurologically to Reagan. Like that. That's what I'm saying. That I'm not saying that. That's apparently what's in the book. I don't know. I never read it. Oh, no, we don't call her his wife. We say your hero Nancy. I remember when I read her memoir, the whole first, I think, two chapters were about the assassination attempt. Dude, that is kind of scary that you just got this new president and they get shot while they're like that. He wasn't even in office for 3 months when that happened. That was in March of 1981. I can distinctively pull out the month for that. Dude, they were talking trash about her on Twitter a few. I think it was last year. There was some new book that came out about her. I don't even want to say what was in it, but it was like there was it was nasty. Like just I don't think it was in the book, but it was in one of those other tabloid things somebody else put out. Yeah, it's let me see. That well, you were trying to get me to take a bullet. You were talking about you want me to run for the House as a member of the Green Party in a blue district. So I'm supposed to run and already have trouble convincing these people to vote for someone that's never held office over their one term incumbent, but then also try to like promote this party that has no representatives anywhere in any part of Congress. And you wanted me to campaign on the Green New Deal. And it's like Biden killed that. He doesn't even believe in it. Remember Pelosi called it the green whatever. No, you were talking about how much you hate the Democratic Party. If I'm in a blue district, I'm probably going to run as a Democrat. I'd probably more than anything prefer an independent run. But the problem with the Democratic Party is that it has this like love hate affiliation with independents where it'll talk like it'll have members who talk trash about Sanders isn't even a Democrat, right? But then when he caucuses with them and allows them to have their majority, then they love him. He's terrific. He's great. No, I'm not saying I wouldn't do that. Remember, I can't even get the paperwork to get on the ballot until apparently the start of next year. That's what I was told by the uh, Secretary of State's office when I called them last summer. Um, but like I said, I'm not running with the Green Party. Look, man, it's a blue district. I'm not going to give myself an extra handicap by trying to do any of the other parties. Well, I tell you, that's why this state. I mean, I tell you that like over here we have the jungle primary. So like for example, when AOC won her district, that was it. She was she basically was the winner without actually winning the race because the primary it's a blue district. She won the Democratic primary. You can figure that getting elected wasn't that hard. But it's like for me, even if I were able to get more votes than the incumbent congresswoman, I still would have to run against her for the rest of the year because they have that stupid jungle primary where it would be two Democrats against each other, or the two top voted people, rather, I should say. Well, you won't even be available. You'll be too busy working for the was it the Christie presidency? You're gonna be part of the New Jersey gang that shuts down all the bridges anytime somebody doesn't speak positively about Christie. So you won't even be available. They'll ask you about me, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I used to watch one guy on YouTube. I guess I don't know." You're gonna be completely absorbed by the Christie world. His campaign's gonna take you, and you're never gonna look back. Push free trade, anti-sanctions, non-involvement in the internal affairs of other countries. No, those are all positions I would. Well, look, I would push fair trade because free trade is stuff like NAFTA, and I hated NAFTA. But if I'm running against an incumbent, I would really make it a point of how this person doesn't even campaign. Like they didn't do anything to try and get this seat other than just file some paperwork, get endorsements from the whole California Democratic Party establishment, all the big people holding a high office over here, and that was it. They were just handed the seat on a silver platter. And I would make that a big thing of like, hey, at least I'm campaigning. What is the other person doing? Like, wouldn't you actually rather support someone that wants the seat? What a joke, dude! I'm telling you, if I did a thing where with very little money, it's just door to door. I think it would take that person that representative by complete surprise. Like they would be shocked. It would be like this unforeseen thing that just occurred, you know. They do expect to vote. Remember, if you're in a blue district or a red one, really red one, right? You can expect to be on that seat probably for like I'm just look at Liz Cheney. I guarantee you, if she hadn't have gone and been part of that January 6th commission and criticized Trump, she would have been on that House seat for another 10 terms like that. But no, a lot of it would have to do with just the general positioning of here's a person who, yeah, they've never held office, yeah, they're not as experienced, whatever, but they're not part of any affiliated group where they're taking some kind of special interest. They are wholly independent, and they're running against somebody who's yeah, they're a congressperson, they've got the seat, whatever, but they don't actually do anything with it. They're not bringing attention to any serious issue. They're not trying to get more people registered to vote. They don't do anything involving any outreach of their community whatsoever. They just go to Washington 3 days a week and clock out and then come back home and get on TV for a few days, and that's pretty much it. They are out of touch. And this goes back to what I said when I was talking about how these people, when they don't have competition, and really this is what, like, even with companies, when they don't have some force that they think might knock them off, they get complacent, they get unconcerned with any type of improvements or attempts to seriously convey that this is something that they want to do or that they're planning on doing or whatever. Like you don't see a serious investment by that representative in their community. They don't care. They know as long as they don't do anything too egregious, the media won't talk about them. And then when voters go to the ballot next year in November, they'll just click the button, right, without hesitation, and there you go. I'm just saying, if you're running against an incumbent like that, you really have to hit home the point that like this person isn't even campaigning. They don't seem to want this seat at all. Somebody's over there honking their horn. Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. I'll never forget when not Hillary, the former president, when Clinton was doing that interview in Arkansas and he had the Ukraine like label pin on his jacket, and I was like, you're not even an active politician anymore. Why are you so concerned with showing solidarity for some country that I've never heard you talk about a single day before this one since you left the presidency over 20 years ago? Like, what? Why? It's just weird, you know. Like they are going all in on Ukraine. Mm. Do I plan on voting? What do you mean? Vote. We don't have any votes until next year. Mm. Well, you get the insanity of like, here's this former president that in the 20 something years since he's left the White House has never once mentioned Ukraine across any interview, any book he's written, any speech he's given. But for some reason, I need to see him wear a pin for a country that he doesn't talk about at all ever until this year or last year, rather. I wish they would go all in on the American people. Well, they don't really seem to care other than trying to screw them up even further. You got Haley talking about raising the retirement age at a time when life expectancy is going down, by the way. You got Ramaswamy, right? Everyone's favorite billionaire talking about the youngest candidate raising the voting age to 25. You got him and DeSantis and Trump all talking about trying to get rid of birthright citizenship. Again, who is this helping? Dude, I still think it's funny that like people believe them, like, because birthright citizenship is it's so clear cut in its definition. If you are born in the United States, whether your mom and dad or are citizens or aliens or from another planet, whatever, you're an American citizen. It's as simple as that. It's just for them to like they're really pushing that nativist stuff with their whole thing of were the parents born here? And dude, it's like you understand that when people are trying to like flee oppression, you really want me to believe they have this 9 month strategy where they're gonna travel from their country to here and then have this kid the next day and now they can stay here. You know what I mean? Like they make it sound like every single illegal immigrant just meets some woman, they concoct this evil plot to have this baby, and then, oh man, the nativists in America, they are never gonna stop. This can lead to World War III. It's called confusing the issue. But that's why I told you that there are so many things affecting people. And I'm not even joking. You listen to these debates, you listen to these primaries, you would almost think none of this stuff is even happening. Like the way that Republicans respond to climate change is that it's not real, right? Their response is a non-response. It doesn't exist. Uh if they're talking about if they even mention the fact that most people live paycheck to paycheck, usually they don't bring up any solution. Uh like raising wages or maybe lowering the cost of housing or just nothing. Uh so really that's why I said like I when I watch this stuff, I don't see them as actually benefiting people. They're not. They're trying to advance their careers and they're going to trick a few hundred thousand a couple million plus people that they care about them, but it's bupkis. Hmm. Now don't ever fall for that stuff again. They care about you. They want to see you succeed. They want to rebuild America for your future. It's like, no, they couldn't give any more of a damn if they couldn't give any less of a damn if they tried. I tell you, the funniest thing is seeing billionaires run for president, and then like there are people who actually get swamped into believing them. They're like, "Oh yeah, Bloomberg definitely cares about me." Oh yeah, Trump definitely cares about me. Ramaswamy definitely cares about me. They just it's sad. Special interests run this country. Well, I'm just saying it's funny because they try to pretend that the billionaires are like any better because you know what it is, right? Even though they're not quote unquote bought and paid for, and even then that actually is debatable with some of them. They're still not concerned with the plight of the normal man because they're insulated from any of the consequences of this stuff. You think if gas gets raised from 30 for a full tank to 60, that Trump or Ramaswamy or Bloomberg are gonna go, oh no, what am I gonna do? No, because they can afford it one way or the other. You think if wages have been stagnant for 30, 40 years, any of those three are bothered by that? In fact, they actually prefer because they get to keep more money in their own pocket. That's why seeing the nativists go after illegal immigrants is so funny because it's like the same billionaires that they're worshiping, whether it was Bloomberg in 2020 or, and to be fair, Democrats weren't as thrilled about him as now, but like the same billionaires that they're worshiping love illegal immigrants. Like, listen, Trump's whole thing was illegal immigration, like, was so awful, and immigration was his signature issue. But he loves illegal immigrants because what were they able to do for him? Cheap labor, right? And you can pay them less than minimum wage. And if they say anything or complain about it, you can threaten to have them deported or reveal their actual status to Border Patrol. Why do you think that border wall never got finished? Because he loves illegal immigrants. They're his favorite people to hire. He's like, I could hire George and pay him 15 an hour, or I could hire this person that came here from another country for $3 an hour or $2 an hour. And people fell for that scam, hook, line, and sinker. It's really not that hard to like see either, because it's like one of the reasons they get a lot of money is from screwing over the people that work under them. Like and that's one of the worst parts about like it's totally valid for a person to be a millionaire because you can have by virtue of working for 30, 40, 50 years, it's entirely possible for someone to have seven-figure dollars. But when you're talking about a billionaire, these are people who squeeze penny after penny out of the people that work for them, either by hiring someone that they don't have to pay that much because they're illegal, or firing a bunch of people, the mass layoffs. There's a lot of little slick or my favorite, the offshore bank account. You own 10 million, but you put 8 million in this account in the Caribbean, and you're like, I only have 2 million. So people really fell for the Trump scam, and they're falling for it again, unfortunately. At least in the primary. I don't know if they'll fall for it in the general election. I hope not. I don't think so, but you never know. These elections get tighter and tighter every year, it seems. I had that one idiot come on my video talking about no Republican can win the general election in 2024. Keep dreaming. I'm like, dude, did you were you like asleep for the actual results of the last one? Biden won, was it 3, 4 states by less than 10, was it 40,000 votes? So like if you switch the results in Georgia and Arizona, which he narrowly won, and I think like what one other state, Pennsylvania, then Trump gets another term. So it's like how do you just so narrowly win, and then you want to sit here and talk about how the Republicans have no chance? Both parties will probably always have a chance by virtue of having to sit here and well, Jim, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like you looked at the 2020 map. Biden did not win by some crushing landslide margin. Like he got 7 million more votes than Trump, yeah, but the actual electoral college stuff was a lot more narrow. And that's why I said these idiots come online and without any proof, without any understanding of just how narrow this stuff is, they try to act like you're stupid for actually looking at results and knowing which side has a chance and which one doesn't, or acknowledging the fact that both do. And it really just comes down to a coin flip in a lot of cases. So yeah, let them be arrogant. Let them have that overconfidence. We'll see how it services them in next year's election. No Republican can win the general election. And then what happens if one of them wins? Oh, it was and then they start switching because they said the same thing about Trump in 2016. He can't win. 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 Dude, my favorite thing now is since Haley's been polling a little bit higher, a lot of Ramaswamy supporters go to her channel and they're like, how can she be the third person if she's only getting this many number of views on her videos? I'm like, did you people really just spawn out of the clear blue sky? Like, when did YouTube views determine who was going to win the election? When Biden announced and when Biden would appear on like Fox, for example, I remember distinctively he would do videos. Maybe he gets like a few thousand, right? Maybe a few hundred in like the first couple hours. And guess what? Even with as little people engaged online as it appeared, he still won anyway. Because on like YouTube views don't translate to votes. Look at Jenk from TYT. You're on the channel with 5 million subs, and he couldn't win that primary or even come in second place. But they're gonna try to tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. Get out of my face. Let their overconfidence get them blown out. They deserve it. Like when you narrowly win elections as much as the Democrats do, or narrowly lose them, whatever, you really shouldn't be bragging about how. Like I wouldn't even start to think Republicans couldn't win a general election until they'd lost like 7 or 8 of them back to back. Like it'd have to be a long time. Just like if you remember, Jem, between what was that 1930 to the 1952, the Democrats won every single presidential election 5 back to back. They had the White House for 20 years. It took a universally liked general running as a Republican to break it up, and then right after he won those 2 terms, the Democrats controlled the White House again for another what, um, another 8 years. So that's what I said, man. People are really stupid. Mm. Like it's nice to have confidence, but at certain points you have to be realistic. You have to be able to look at statistics and trends and make an estimation based on reality. Just like I could sit here and say next election Biden will win Texas, but in reality I don't know if he will. I don't think he will because the Democrats have lost it repeatedly and he underperformed in that state after it showed that he could be competitive there. So maybe at some point uh they might be able to flip Texas blue in a presidential election, but I don't think it's going to be this next one. I still can't believe Trump lost Arizona. Man, when that thing turned blue, I said, "What?" And it's another one of those states where it actually is not that red, but because I just couldn't remember a Democrat winning it, I thought that it was probably safe for Republicans, but I was wrong. I still think if Trump hadn't have kept messing with McCain, he probably could have won that state. But that he's a war hero because he was captured. I like war heroes who weren't captured. God, that woman had tattoos all over her arm. Jeez. This is the ink era. Oh, the line seems to have stopped. This person was walking forward and they just decided to walk back for some reason. No, I'm very tired of Jem and his all of his criticisms he's directed my way. I can't believe he would treat me in this manner. Why am I getting messages from Josh Hawley? I don't even. That's weird. He's like, "Hi, no, don't talk to me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to donate to you. Nothing. Just get out of here." So I have the worst mail place like in the whole state. They come sometimes as early as 12 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes as late as 8 in the evening. Just it's bad. You'll have some that you think is coming, and then like 5 minutes later, oh, it's still coming, but it might be at between 5 and 10 tonight. You're like, really? And I always try to explain to people that a lot of times, if someone doesn't have a person who's just at their house all day long, um, to go and retrieve the mail, then it sitting they can't like sit around just waiting for that thing. Is what the point I'm making, that it's just it's too long a period to have to wait for something that should have come in the earlier part of the day, or at least at a set hour where the person could expect it and be there to retrieve it. It feels like mail is taking longer to come now. Like I remember I used to order stuff online to be 3 days. Now it's like 6. Ordered some book on Sunday and it apparently is out for delivery today. Oh, I was like, oh my god, it just takes too long to receive things. Like yeah, stuff is cheaper online a lot of times. I do get some good deals. I'm not gonna lie, but there is something nice about you go to a store, you see something you like, you get it. That's it. No waiting for 5 days, 8 days. Let's see here. Jim, do you have anything else left to say? Because you laughed and then you vanished, and I don't do giggles. You can take all your amusement and put it somewhere else. So if you have any further comments, let me know. If not, I think we're done. Yeah, what else were you gonna say? What other nasty things have you yet to type? Multitasking. Oh yeah, I forgot you're running that new adult video store. My mistake. I forgot. Sometimes you like to take one of the tapes in the back and just play it. Get some inspiration. It's been great to think a great. It's been great. Have a great weekend. Nothing further to add. Like I said, I'm trying to do part three. Um, I'm not going to promise it comes out this week because now I've got another book I'm trying to stick in here too. A pretty long one at that, the Robert Caro Volume 3, which is like 1,000+ pages. Um, I'll try to skim through some of that today while writing some of the some from the other book as well. And after that, we'll just have part 4 and 5, and then we'll get into that big juggernaut of the presidency, which is, it's so sad how like Caro put out Volume 4 in 2012, and I was like, okay, cool. Volume 5 is gonna come out in like maybe 5 years, and it's like every year there's an update, and then there's no release date. It's like, oh yeah, I've got this part I'm doing. Oh yeah, I'm writing this part. Yeah, I'm writing this part. It's like, just finish the damn series. Well, I was really hoping that he would eventually finish those so I could have, because I only have one. The main book I would use is the second volume of Dalek's series. So I was really hoping he would finish, referring to Caro, volume 5 of his, but he just hasn't. And there's no release date in sight, so I couldn't even be like, "All right, I'll delay this until." No, it's just he just won't finish it. Oh man, look, man, I know the only book you're looking forward to next year, and I didn't even want to plug her in because she doesn't. I don't get paid to endorse her. I don't get paid to talk about this lady. Uh, what's the name of that thing? Amazon had it for pre-order. I'm not pre-ordering it because why pre-order something at full price when you can get it much cheaper a short time later. I know the only book that you care about coming out next year is For Love of Country: Why I Left the Democratic Party by Tulsi Gabbard. That's the only book that you're trying to get next year. It's the only one on your agenda. I'm not even kidding. I thought if she wrote a book, it would be about her beliefs and why she's so anti-war. Nope. More and more of this. I switched parties. I left the party. Blah 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 blah. She had another. You said you'll pre-order day one. I already know. You'll pre-order to have it delivered to your house. Between that and what's the book by Levin? Why the Democrat, he didn't even say the Democratic. He says the Democrat Party hates America. That's the title. And apparently in the book he's going to be talking trash about every Democrat ever. I was listening to him yesterday. He's like, you can pre-order your copy and have it delivered on the release day. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I'll do that. But look, Jem, let's not pretend you're not a prolific reader. You've got Carrie Lake's book, How to Deny an Election for 2 years and Still Get Paid. You pre-ordered Tulsi's book. You pre-ordered Liz's book. You got Noam's book, Daughter of the Heartland, whatever that damn thing is called. You got Ernst's book. You got every book by Warren. You got Harris's book. You got Ilhan Omar's book. I actually do have I didn't mention I have Condoleezza Rice's memoir. It's actually really good. Like just her writing style engages me in a way that a lot of the other ones don't. Hers and like Ted Kennedy's memoir, True Compass. Dude, every time there's a politician, make sure to make they make sure. You know, it's like I'm not even kidding. There's so many that I actually want to see write a memoir, and they don't have any, they haven't written anything, right? But then I don't I didn't even know they had books. Rice I would read. Yeah, she's got four of them. She has her memoir of her youth. Um, I think it was called Extraordinary Ordinary People, something to that effect. And then the No Higher Honor, which is the memoir of being both the National Security Advisor and Secretary of State. She has Democracy, which is this book that tells different stories of democracies. And there's another one that she wrote with somebody else. I'm blanking on its name. I didn't even know they had, but dude, so many politicians have books. Like even like the politician adjacent people have one. Like Kellyanne Conway has one. Everybody's pumping one out. This is the book era. Dude, Ramaswamy has like three of them. He's got Woke Inc. and Nation of Victims. I think something else. She lied us into Iraq. It's a scam to make money. Dude, I'm not even kidding. When that person came on my video talking about I'm wrong about Christy Noem, and then they kept spelling her name wrong, I was laughing. It's like, how do we get to a point where people are so uneducated that they can't even spell the name right of the person that they call themselves defending when it's right there in front of them? Yeah, he what was it called? It can't I remember when it came out too. It was in 2016, I think. So it's a little outdated. But I know he wrote it after he became majority leader. Yeah, the long game, a memoir. And it is 288 pages. Personally, I'd be more interested in reading somebody else's book on him than the one by him because I don't trust him to be that accurate with his own retelling. Just like I tell you, I read DeSantis's book. I thought it was terrible. Like I'm gonna say this: if he ever writes another one, I'll make sure not to get it. That thing was I'm fairly confident was written by a staffer. He leaves out a lot of stuff. He leaves out his attempt to run for the Senate in 2016 when Rubio was saying he wasn't going to run for his seat again before the that Orlando nightclub shooting happened, and he flip flopped. I just I that thing was bad, man. I never want to like listen. I'm not like I don't just dislike someone's book if I don't like them. Obama's a very good writer. Audacity of Hope was really good. Dreams from My Father is considered very great. Uh, so again, this isn't about who I like, who I don't like, but that book was boring. It felt like I was looking at something his staffers wrote in the did he write in the third person? Dude, everything that you would think is important to him just gets skimmed over. I think his wife is mentioned like twice. Casey Black, these Faucionian policies. Like I just was, it was bad, man. The only interesting thing in that whole book is when he mentions that when he was at Harvard, and I guess I think it was either the football team, baseball team, he met uh, Bush 41, who came to the school. That's the only thing that I thought was that grabbed my attention. Like, wow, really? He came up there? And but other or whatever school he went to. But other than that, throw it away. It was awful, man. Like I haven't finished Pence's book, but so far it's a damn literary masterpiece compared to that thing. Now these politicians and their memoirs and books, they once they get in office, they start churning those things out. Just like I read Cruz's first book, the one that he wrote when he ran for like in the lead up to him running for president. It's I'll never forget, the cover is him wearing some like brown jacket. It's like like it's a picture of him that is not the regular suit imagery. But I read that one, and I swear, man, I thought that was the only one he wrote until I started seeing like pre-orders and stuff for the other two or three, and I was like, God, he's been cranking these out. And that's what always like drives me nuts. Like all these Congress members are so busy fighting for you and me that they have time to sit there and write whole novels. Really, not even like every couple of years, like every year. Like he wrote that first book in 2015. Then the next one was what is it? It's one of these two. It was one vote away, the Supreme Court book, whatever. This came out 3 years ago almost. Then he has Justice Corrupted: How the Left Weaponized Our Legal System. And that came out 2 years later. And remember that book came out in October of last year, so it hasn't even been out for a full year. And now he's got Unwoke: How to Defeat Cultural Marxism in America. Dude, all the people who tried to say that Cruz is the new Joseph McCarthy were right. Like Cruz literally, when he starts talking about the tyranny of liberals and he's running on the new Red Scare. I love how he moans about the government while not understanding that he is a powerful senator. Yeah, I told you he can't help to change things. He doesn't want to. Listen, somebody like Rand from Kentucky, I agree with him on international issues. We have a lot of similar foreign policy beliefs. He's against the war on drugs, so am I. Rubio is pretty good on immigration. I'd say on some Latin America related stuff as well. Cruz has very little to no redeeming positions whatsoever. He is as far right as you could probably get in the Senate before Holly got there and Cotton. But even then, it's like he still might be in a league of his own. I haven't seen much of Cotton in recent years. He's there. There's like no position he has that isn't extreme or like entirely slanted toward the same old nativist trickle down, world police fight everybody nonsense that we're tired of seeing. Okay, I'm just saying that Rubio at least has an area where I can agree with him on, and you probably can get some moderation out of him, just like with the Gang of Eight immigration attempt they had. But I'm saying Cruz does not have next to any redeeming position. Like, if you ask me what can you and him work together on if you were a congressman, he was a senator, I would just sit there and stare at you. 3 books in 3 years. That's crazy. The last one isn't even a year old, and the other, and he's like, "Here's my next one on Marxism." Look, I know mentioning Rubio is a sour spot for you because you wanted Romney to pick him for VP in 2012. You want him to be the Republican nominee in 2016. You want him to run for president again this year. I know it's hard to talk about him. I get it. He's eluded you for so long. I understand where it can be difficult to look back and feel any sense of happiness when you see his image. I get it. Castro is dead and gone, and yet the embargo continues. I'm not joking. Like every oh, you know what? Rand actually wrote a book where he apparently plagiarized from Wikipedia. It was called like Government Bullies or something. Then he made some stupid book about the evils of socialism, and I was just rolling my eyes like, oh man. I tell you, every time I try to be nice towards libertarians, so like Rand and his dad, for example, or even someone like Thomas Massey, I just feel like I get slapped in the face. Like, I'm glad we agree on all this foreign policy stuff. Now let me tell you about how evil your attempt to give everyone healthcare is. You know what I mean? Like every time it looks as if you've reached an agreement, you're like in sync on something, they pull out that knife right in the back. I used to have this one lady I would talk to. She was a big you know, anti-war person, and we were discussing all like the stupid conflicts and like which senators actually were consistent on what issues, and we were just having like a general part of agreement, and she was like, I totally disagree with you on healthcare, though. We need to have. I was like, I just rolled my eyes. I was like, why, man? Why? It's a sharp. It is sharp. Like they feel like they need to remind you at every minute that you are a good ally when it comes to opposing these intervention and various conflicts across the world, right? But anything at home that can improve that you think can improve people's lives, they're going to tell you how stupid you are. They're going to tell you that you're trying to take away people's freedoms. Like I'm sick of that. I'm really. That's why I said I don't even outside of a run for office. I usually don't even engage people on this stuff, but especially like these right leaning people, because every time you agree with them on something, they try to pivot back to an area where they can like crap on your beliefs on other issues. I'm just not interested in that. Like you would never see me talking to like Rand Paul. Oh, I'm so glad we agree on getting out of these different conflicts. By the way, why are you such a bigot against people that are LGBT? Rome spent tons on their citizens, and the citizens held them accountable. Like I said, I'm just tired of you and your defense of all these right wing people. I know you're trying to get Pence to win this primary so he can have Haley as his VP and she can get some training from an experienced VP on how the job is done, so she can run in 2028 or 32 or whatever. You think I'm kidding? I just sat back and I was like, everyone has a damn book. Like even Bobert, whose only claim to fame is like what, winning two House races. She's been in the House for like two terms. Even she has a book. This really is just the era of pointless memoir, and I just think it's weird. Like Cruz wrote a book after being a senator for 2 years. So these people are really do believe in just cranking out novels and trying to like squeeze some more pennies in their pockets. Like at least with someone like Patrick Leahy from Vermont, or even like Jesse Helms, they wrote memoirs, yeah, but all the way at the end of their tenures in office, like all the way to when they after they left or whatever. So it's like a complete full story, right? Not here's a piece of it. It's disgusting. Money, 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 money. I mean, you said that, but do we need? Do I need to put on camera your signed copy of what was that book called? Marsha Blackburn's "The Mind of a Conservative Woman." I love how she makes them sound so complex. It's like, lady, your mind is literally how can I get how can I get my next job? Oh, I know. I'll praise Trump endlessly. Come on. Oh, I was going to ask you, how do you think this primary is going to go? Do you think that Trump is going to win every single state? Because it looks like he might, like he's leading everywhere by 20, 30 points at minimum. Even in South Carolina, Haley and Scott are too stupid to just have one drop out. So they're splitting the vote among the people who want like a native son to win. That whole map is going to light up in the same color. Well, I told, oh, if you're talking about Blackburn, but you know that Palin and Haley are connected because Palin helped Haley get elected to governor of South Carolina with her whole pink elephant thing, which is like trying to get female candidates to win their respective races. So they are tied together. They don't appear together. They haven't associated in years, but they are connected. Trump is good at making folks feel better about America. Well, Trump is more charismatic than all of his challengers put together. Like I said that Pence gave the most important speech of the election cycle with that, time for choosing conservatism versus pop, whatever that thing was called. But that doesn't mean I think he's some great communicator. Hell, the whole speech is him breathing into the microphone. We're Americans. Why not dream great dreams? No, that speech was really important because it's Trump's VP, former VP, telling you don't vote for him. They're leading the party in the wrong direction. You got to either pick between regular conservatism or the siren song of populism. I watched that thing like 3 times. I still can't believe that exists. Like it reminds me so much of the speech Romney gave in 2016, where he's like, Trump is a fraud, a phony, a fake. He gets a free ride to the White House, and all we get is a lousy hat. On foreign policy, Trump claims to be very smart. No, I'm afraid when it comes to foreign policy, he is very, very not smart. Dude, that's still, I'll never forget that speech. Just like you're not even running, and you just come out and just take a whole sledgehammer with all these different lines. I loved it. It was great. And then after Trump won, he tried to become his Secretary of State, which went nowhere. And then he's like, "All right, I guess I'll serve out a term in the Senate and mess you up well as for most of your for like the second half of your term." Okay, yeah, like listen, Romney's whatever, but I'm saying that speech I'll always remember because it was so weird seeing a presidential candidate. Like it reminds me of how when FDR became the Democratic nominee and like Al Smith, who was the governor of New York right before him and was the nominee for the previous election, so like really closely tied to him, was like talking trash about him and became an opponent of the New Deal. It's that same thing where it's like someone who shouldn't be doing that or you wouldn't think would do that is like, no, no, don't nominate this person, don't pick him. No, no, no. He is very, very not smart. They always invoke Reagan. They love bringing him up. Time for choosing. Time for choosing. It's like, man, get some other people that you can like celebrate the speeches of. When everybody refers back to the same, it's not even like, oh, he had like 10 speeches. It's the same one over and over. And every time they do that, they lose. Like Reagan with his time for choosing speech. I don't know if you remember, Jim. That was for to promote Goldwater in '64. Goldwater got blown out in 44 states. And then Romney's like, oh, time for choosing. Like, yeah, Trump still won anyway. Won the primary and the election. And then Pence doing the same thing. Oh, time for choosing. The speech doesn't mean anything, and the result is always the opposite effect. Jim, you've come to a time for choosing. You can either back Nikki Haley in 2024, or you can wait for Joni Ernst in 2028, or Marsha Blackburn, or what's the other lady? Um, no, I don't think Green would run without being like a member of the. Well, I don't know. She's Jim. You've come at a time for choosing. You have to pick one of your Republican girls to run for president. You have to select one. You must pick at least one to prop up and help. Dude, they are all the same, I swear. Like one of the reasons I'm so fond of Collins and Murkowski is because they actually have positions that are not like the rest of their party. Um, like they both vote against Trump's crappy education secretary. They're both anti. I guess I should say rather they're both pro gay marriage and anti getting rid of like abortion rights, for example. But man, like all those other Republicans, it's like you could just take any one of them. They have the exact same positions on pretty much everything. Like very few distinctions in most cases rather. Now Hillary is done like dinner, and unless Chelsea runs for something, I think we won't be seeing the Clintons or hearing about them for a very long time. I think they're finished. I'll tell you my favorite joke ever was that when if Hillary won, she goes to sit in the Oval Office and she like starts to sit in the chair and Bill pulls it from under her and gets back in the chair. He's like, "Hey, it's nice to have my third term." No, I know you really loved Chelsea, Gem. Don't worry, you'll see her again. Your favorite presidential daughter, besides Ivanka, I should say. I'm not even kidding. I think if Trump loses, two things are going to happen. Either, well, of course, he's going to say it was rigged, right? Because that's all he knows how to do now. But if he loses, um, he might. Would he run it? I don't know. I'm not. Well, I'll put it this way: if he doesn't try to run again in 2028, I think either his daughter, so the oldest one, or his sons will try to get it. I don't think they're going away. I think they're going to ride their dad's coattails for as far and along as they can. I actually think Ivanka would probably be a strong candidate because she can do the whole like she can say the stuff her dad says and make it sound not as insane, and she doesn't have the criminal charges. So get ready for them; they're coming. The Trump political dynasty, it's on its way. No, she would be really hard in a like in a primary where like as the daughter of the most recent Republican president who's got a whole bunch who has access to his money so she doesn't need donors or anything. And you already have like built-in name recognition from who your dad was. Like she basically would be sort of like Bush in 2000 where you had a dad who was recently president and enough people remember that fondly and are still like devoted to him where they think they can like transfer those same hopes towards you. I don't think the Suns are as ambitious as she is. I don't think they're gonna make any attempts. At least not while she's in the way. Like maybe if she tries and fails, one of them might do it. But I think she'd be the one that would would probably try to do it more so or before any other ones. Dude, Donald Jr. has the most annoying voice I've ever heard. Oh, and by the way, if he runs and Newsom runs, Newsom can be like, "Hey, I had her first because a lot of people don't know this. Trump Jr.'s girlfriend, mistress, whatever you want to call her, she used to be married to Newsom, so he can like poke fun at their like him getting his sloppy second. Dude, I'm telling you, these elections are nuts, man. Oh, Pence gave a speech yesterday, according to the Hill. I got to check it out. The youngest son seems normal. Oh, Barron. Well, you got to remember, Barron is the one that came at the tail end of all of Trump's escapades. Like, he's from the final marriage. He's the only child, so he doesn't have like a sibling he's competing with. Uh, so I think he's probably going to be the one that doesn't. I don't know. Him and Tiffany seem to be the most normal to me. Like just out like it's like Ivanka's sort of normal. The other two sons are kind of deranged, and then especially the wife of Eric. What's her name? Laura. That dude. You would think she was Trump's daughter for as much lying as she does for him. Jeffersonian democracy is the best. The Trump political dynasty. It's coming to a White House near you. I should have said a ballot box near you. That was my error. Dude, I'm just imagining like every time you think the Trumps are done, like in 2024, oh Trump didn't win. Okay, well in 2028, here comes Ivanka, and then oh Ivanka didn't win in 2028. Okay, well here comes Eric in 2032. Oh Eric didn't win in 2032. Well here comes Trump Jr. in 2030. It's like every election cycle they just keep springing up. They could really do that too because there's so many of them, and they're all like basically if like they run one each cycle, then the what's her name Tiffany will be old enough to. Oh my god, that could totally end up happening. Is what's scary to me that like, they just never go away. I'm saying when I was in high school, I used to really think you had to be a governor or a senator to be president. And like now, everyone that just has money or whatever, they just jump off their couch and decide to run. Because when I was younger, I always wanted to just be in the Congress. Like, what would it be like to be a member of the House or the Senate? And I gave up on the Senate because it looks like we only get one new senator every like 20 years. because they stay on the in the seats, forever and ever. Oh man, I guess I'll go and get something to eat, and then I'm waiting for Bill Gates to run. Oh, I think that's dead. I don't think he's gonna try. Him running is gonna be. When Trump first started running, he was a lot more interesting. Like the first campaign, and like specifically before he became the nominee. Because at one point they were talking about how Oprah could be his running mate, or he could pick Palin again. And like that was way more interesting to me than just, well, I guess I'll go with this random guy from Indiana. Even though now, admittedly, Pence has become a hero to America, and we're all reading his book with bated breaths, and it's a prized possession of ours. This actually is a pretty nice spine here. I have to admit, I like the little stars and stripes. But yeah, we're all reading his novel, and we've been so enthralled with him. Jim, I hope you don't feel like religion was imposed upon you during this trial. I wasn't trying to, but so help me God. That was the title of the book, so we have to have the title of the stream. It's only fair. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here and go and run my little errands or whatever, and then I'll be back on Monday. So thanks for watching. Thanks for showing up. Part 3 is being made. It's just I'm reading 2 books now. You have a good weekend as well. And like I said, maybe I don't end up running for the house. I do want to, but again, there's like a lot of, I just don't have that much of a support system behind me, and just they don't make it easy to get involved in this stuff. But I'm definitely finishing that documentary. I'll tell you that. That's a surefire thing. If I only do one and finish one, it will be on Johnson. I can assure you of that. So, thanks for showing up, and have a good rest of your day.